Hey everyone, Russ here from Polygon, and we are here with Rod, Epic Games. We've got sort of a big deal of a game right here, don't we?
I think so, yeah. We have Gears of War Judgment, and we're playing our new mode, Overrun.
Okay, so what can we expect from this new mode?
Oh, a lot. Overrun is sort of Horde versus Beast, but except it's got a really big twist to it, and that the Horde side, or the COG side, is essentially class-based now. So you don't play as a specific character so much as you play as a medic, or an engineer, or a scout, or a soldier. So we have 4 different classes, and then basically you're trying to defend, right now it's a generator, we may change that before ship, but right now you're defending a generator against these attacking locusts that are all human controlled. So it's a 5v5 competitive mode, but with a class system with special abilities, like the soldier throws out more ammo, the medic heals from a distance, the engineer can repair fortifications and put out remote sentries, that kind of stuff.
And the Horde, the Locust act, they're class-based as well.
Yeah, much like when you play Beast, you have that sort of, like the Cantus is the healer, and the Ticker can take down fortifications and that kind of stuff. And we actually have some of these really kind of cool layers, like the Blood Mount has this ability to speed up the cooldown of the other guy's special abilities. Cool. So if a Cantus can ride a Blood Mount now, and now he heals twice as fast, that kind of stuff. So you can find these ways of making them all interact.
Yeah. Is there like a currency system still when it comes to spawning as Locust? I know, like, why would you be a Ticker?
Right. Yeah, right now we have a point system. Yeah. We simplified it for the demo just to get people into it, but basically, as you play, you have to earn the ability to spawn as bigger and bigger Locusts. Yeah. So yeah, that's there.
Would you say this is sort of the primary multiplayer mode, or is it still the traditional, like, focusing on the traditional modes as well?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, this is sort of our unique, kind of never been done before mode, but we definitely are bringing sort of, I wouldn't say we're bringing everything back the way it was. It's not going to be like, here's all the same stuff, but we're definitely going to have way more competitive multiplayer than just Overrun.
Cool. So. I know character customization has always been a big thing for you guys, especially in Gears of War 3. We saw a ton of it. Right. How are you guys expanding that?
Well, we are. But I can't really talk about it. You're not going to all I can say, I can confirm that we're expanding character customization, but I can't talk about how yet.
So you can't say, like, if there's weapon unlocks and, like, experience and stuff like that?
I mean, player progression is really important to us beyond customization, but just the actual idea of progressing through levels and being able to progress both yourself and what you're doing in the game to change gameplay. And so, that's going to be a big focus for us as well. But again, it's something that we're still finalizing that I don't want to sort of talk too much about yet.
Okay. Let's talk about the main game, because obviously the campaign, people are obviously very interested.
Right.
Baird is our new hero.
Chick Stick the Baird.
I gotta admit, I've always been a fan of Baird.
Right.
I like the goggles.
Yes.
His swarthy attitude. What's the base story? Where are we picking off?
Okay, so basically we are 14 years before Gears 1. So essentially it's a couple weeks to a month after E-Day. And so it's where the Locusts are new. They had just come off the Pendulum War battles, and they're used to fighting humans, and all of a sudden the Locusts show up. And that's something we've really tried really hard to do, is like, after you've spent the last 6-7 years with the Locusts, you basically have become a little bit more familiar with them. It feels a little bit like a World War II game, like they're the Germans and I know what to expect. So now we're trying to bring that little bit of horror back, the idea of what the hell are these monsters doing here, and making even a single wretch scary, which is actually true. When you play the campaign now, and one wretch comes bounding in, you're actually getting nervous. And so it's that kind of idea of like bringing back that sort of newness of when the Locusts were fresh. And the idea of when it's sort of getting to know Baird a bit more. We had Dom's story definitely got told, Marcus' story definitely got told, and we got a little bit of flashback of Cole in the locker room in Gears 3. So we said, what's another character we haven't really gotten into? And Baird was an obvious one. And then we even found out that we did customer satisfaction surveys, and Baird was like the #2 character of all of our cast, Anya being the first. But I mean, so he was a much loved character who we hadn't explored, and in a time we haven't explored, so we thought it was a perfect fit.
How did he get the goggles? Is that revealed?
There's some interesting things about that. So part of it is that we feel like Baird is Baird because of the goggles, but you may earn a specific type of goggles based on what you do in the game.
I feel like that needs to be like,
there's something,
I agree with you,
it's not
Baird without him,
there's
but
something that we talked about it. We talked about having him no goggles.
The origin.
We were like, do we want to do the origin story of the goggles? And it just felt like we had it at the end of the game, that when you got the goggles as the last thing you do, and it just felt like for marketing and whatever, having a goggleless Baird looked weird, and so people wouldn't recognize him as
Baird.
First
mission.
Right.
That's all you need.
So now we've kind of we found a happy medium.
Okay.
So yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Are you guys treating this as sort of the birth of a new trilogy? How do you view this?
Well, I mean, I think we're kind of treating it the same way we treat Gears of War 1, which is like the fans will decide whether this is a birthing process or not.
Yeah, but the fans have already said they like Gears of War. Like, that's not changing.
No, I mean, but the thing we want to do is we felt like, okay, we're about to go into, we jokingly call the transition time between the console generations as sort of the dark period.
Yeah.
So you go into this lull where people are like in the mix of making next generation games and holding back and afraid to talk about current generation games and that kind of stuff. We felt like we really had a sweet spot of an opportunity to bring more Gears content to the fans. And so, and we're working with People Can Fly, and they were able to bring this sort of bunch of new, fresh ideas along with the kind of our sensibilities of what makes a Gears game. Yeah. And so this combination of these two forces has allowed us to get this kind of game out earlier than we normally would have been able to, and provide that fresh twist, because the campaign plays way more like Gears 1, even more action-packed than Gears 1 was, and so I think people are going to really dig that.
Interesting. I feel like Gears, as you were saying earlier, Gears 1 was slower, more intense, scarier than the later games, which were more action-heavy.
Right.
Which is interesting, because when you think of People Can Fly, you think of Bulletstorm, you think of, the one with the stake gun.
Painkiller.
Painkiller, you think of Painkiller. Very crazy, action-heavy games.
Right. Oh, yeah, I think that from a pace, we're definitely not going slower. It's definitely action-packed.
Okay.
But the idea of that idea of feeling overwhelmed, that you're going against this crazy monsters that are have way more numbers than you, you're outnumbered and you're outgunned, and so we're trying to bring that kind of little bit of, the really thing, one of our key pillars, the way we defined it actually when we were designing it, was sweaty palms. Like the idea is like we weren't being successful if we weren't having sweaty palms while you were playing it, and that has been our test. We play for half an hour and put it down and go like, yep, okay, that's working, that kind of feel to it. So.
And what's the relationship? People Can Fly's like lead, and you guys are guiding them, or how's that working?
That's a real partnership. It's a lot of give and take. I mean, one of the things we've been letting them sort of drive a lot more on the campaign side, where we've been driving a lot more on the multiplayer side.
I see. Okay.
And they really helped us sort of establish what Overrun was or is, and so there's a lot of back and forth between between the two. So there's a lot of shared ideas, a lot of collaboration. Yeah. Like I said, it's working really, really well.
Cool. Any other familiar faces we're going to see in the campaign?
Cole's back.
Cole's back. I like to hear that.
Cole is part of Kilo Squad, so that's good. A couple of new faces. We've got Garen Paddock, who's a UIR refugee, and we have Sophia Hendrick, who's an Onyx Guard cadet. Yeah. And that was something else we go to a new place, Halvo Bay, and we're going to talk about essentially, it's where the Onyx Guard sort of came from, and so that's their school, and so that's one of the places you actually fight, is inside the academy. It's awesome.
Oh, awesome. Great. Last question. Crazy new weapon. I feel like there's always a crazy new weapon.
Yes. There are crazy new weapons, but not that we're talking about.
You're not showing any crazy new weapons in this demo?
I mean, the only thing we really talked about, and if you check out, like we had the Game Informer cover, so they went into depth, and one of the ones that we talked about was the portable sentry. So this ability inside the campaign to actually place these sort of portable sentries that actually turn into any kind of at any given moment, you can have a brief horde combat where you have to defend for a few minutes, like you would in Horde. Yeah. And so those will break out in the campaign, and those little portable sentries allow that to happen.
Cool. And X-ray goggles.
And X-ray goggles, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That's all I need. Thanks, Rod.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.